Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about Thailand and the coup that just occurred there. Well, let me give you a little bit of history here. In the last 85 years, Thailand's had 18 coups occur. You never heard about them, or you don't hear much about them. They're not big news. They're not well known. They're not taught unless you're, of course, in Southeast Asia. Now, most of us live in America, so why don't we hear about them? Because it's not one of our economic interests. It's not something that's going to make the media and the news. It's not going to be newsworthy, or at least it wasn't up until now. Now, in the age of social media and everything the world's a lot more compact. You're going to hear about this stuff because, well, if there's nothing else going on, they're going to report it. So let's talk about this one. There's three major players you got to know about at this point. And I'm going to probably mispronounce all of their names, so be prepared. First off is the king, Bhumibol Adulyadej. He's 86 years old, so he's really not a huge factor. Then you have Yingluck Shinawatra. This was the prime minister who's just been deposed. She was the leader of the Pheu Thai party. And the last person is General Prayuth Chan-o-cha. Basically, Thailand's always been disgruntled, apparently, though not a lot of people realize it. I mean, what do people know about Thailand? Usually they know it was called Siam because they played Risk, and they know that it's got Bangkok in it because a lot of people love saying the name Bangkok. Or some people might remember the Pet Shop Boys song, One Night in Bangkok, which is one of my favorites. So, the military junta took over. General Prayuth Chan-o-cha is the leader. They've set up it's called the group they set up is called the National Peace and Order Maintaining Council, NPOMMC. It sounds ridiculous. It's got no flair to it. To me, it sounds like it's doomed. You gotta have something that people are gonna respect, and that just sounds ridiculously bureaucratic. So they've set up this junta. The king is supporting it, although he's old enough and sickly enough, he didn't show up to the coronation, or whatever you want to call it. And Miss Yingluck, the former prime minister, she was detained. A lot of people thought that she was being held hostage, and they thought they were mainly because she was going to be, held hostage to guarantee the good behavior of her militant supporters, who are comically called red shirts. So Star Trek fans just can laugh their asses off about that one. Well, the junta's taken over, and they've done some things that just are ridiculous. They disbanded the Senate, took all lawmaking abilities under their own hands. They proceeded to bring into custody, I believe it was 35 prominent academics and activists, as well as 155 leading politicians. And they've been detained. I mean, you don't do that. That's tantamount to inviting insurrection. Of note, there's an outspoken columnist by the name of Pravit Rajanafruk, I believe his name is. He writes for the English language paper called The Nation. He was asked to meet independently with them. I haven't heard anything about today or yesterday because I've been busy, but as of Sunday, he still hadn't been seen. He's still being detained. So they've taken over, and one of the things that they've set outright is no public gatherings. There can't be any more people of 5 or more. Well, that got tested. And it got tested at all things outside of McDonald's. People started gathering outside of McDonald's the other day. And by 10:30 in the morning, there were already hundreds of people there. It eventually got to the point where there were thousands of people there. And the military showed up. I believe they said there were 3 arrests made. But for the most part, the military ended up retreating. I guess they didn't want to take the next stand. To me, that just says it's a failure in the making. People are rising up against this, and you cannot beat the people if they've got enough support. You cannot beat the people if they have the will to fight you, unless you have the will to really be callous and sadistic. And so far, General Prayut Chan-o-cha has not shown that. The only question now is going to be down to how bloody it's going to get. Is it going to be a bloody counter coup, or is it going to be a bloodless counter coup, more or less? Why I'm discussing this is, because I really have no ties to Thailand. I don't have relatives from there. I don't have much out of there. I have some friends I grew up with whose mother was Thai, and I love Thai food. That doesn't give me a direct connection. However, with the shrinking of the world through social media, and with America's overly self-righteous stand of being the moral protectors of the world, if this goes bad, how long before we intervene? Or if we don't intervene, how long before China starts meddling? Or India, or somebody else? And if somebody meddles, well, then we're going to get provoked into it. Can we as Americans afford this? No. Should we be there? No. Should we support the moral rights? We can support the moral rights, but from afar. It's not our place right now. We've got too many domestic issues to worry about international ones on this scale, especially in something that has no economic interest to us. Now, I know that the moral right on this is going to hate what I have to say, but we got to do for ourselves. We have to protect our rights. We have to protect our economy. We have to protect everything that we have. We've slipped fairly far from what the American dream was. We don't need to add the Thai dream to it. So, at this point, I don't fully understand the reasons for the military junta. The number of people that are upset about it shows that it's not maybe a good thing. So, what I'll say is, whoever is in the right, good luck. I hope you actually come out on top. But it's not my concern. I believe that at this point, if Americans don't look to help Americans, we're doing a disservice to our country. We're not being patriotic. We are not the moral police of the world. It's bad enough that we're constantly sticking our fingers into places like Iraq, Afghanistan, Bosnia. We might have interest in some of these places, but not our place. So, I'm just going to wrap it with that. It's a tense situation, and it might be indicative of other things to come, because there's a pattern emerging here. We've had Egypt, Libya, Syria, Thailand now, the whole deal in the Ukraine. It seems like revolution, disgruntlement, and contest of power are spreading and becoming more commonplace. If that epidemic isn't curtailed, it's only a matter of time before the wreckage starts washing up on our shores, and we get what's the word I'm looking for here? Infected. Because Lord knows our nation is primed for something like this. That's all I gotta say. So, later, guys.